back to MMGinvest. Today's video should be a great video. I have a lot to talk about. I haven't made a video in a while, so let's catch up. I have a whole list here. So we're going to look at gold versus all major fiat currencies around the world. We're going to look at the news, Trump and the Biden thing, the Repo in QE4, JP Morgan precious metals rigging, and of course stock market TA. And we'll talk about like WeWork and current Silicon Valley IPOs. And then Greta, we'll talk about her. And of course metals TA. And this will be an important video because I'm going to cover a lot of things, and I'm going to talk about the next few months coming up into the first quarter of 2020. And of course precious metals have dumped recently, which shouldn't be a surprise. I've been warning about that. I did put on a very nice trade in the private group. Alright, first of all, this is not financial advice. Consult your financial advisor before doing anything. Stocks, equities, it's all extremely volatile, extremely risky. Do not invest anything you're not willing to lose or lose sleep over. Have stops in place, your emotions out. If you're not experienced, don't trade leveraged ETFs or anything leveraged. If you get a brokerage account, I suggest you do not get a margin account. They offer margin accounts to everyone now. Like automatically, you have to click not to get the margin account because your account could get a negative margin call, right? And you'll blow up your account and lose all your money if you don't know what you're doing. But, consult your financial advisor before doing anything. All right. So, this channel is more educational. It's about me ranting and talking about giving you guys my opinions on the financial markets and the economy and learning how to trade. So this is interesting. I was curious and I wanted to see all of the other fiat currencies versus gold, right? So here's the Swiss franc. You can see gold has not made an all-time high for the Swiss franc. The all-time high was back in 2011 and 12. So the Swiss franc is pretty strong. Here is the dollar. Again, the dollar is pretty strong versus gold. It has not made new all-time highs. The all-time high was 1900, and gold recently just went to did not go to 1775, but as you can see here, the dollar is pretty strong. And this is how you should measure fiat currencies versus inflation, right? Even though metals are suppressed and they're artificially low, technically you would want to measure your fiat currency not against other fiat currencies, because that's what everyone does on the stock market. They weigh it against the entire index. You want to weigh it against everything, like in the real world: food, energy costs, oil, your rent, insurance, the value of your home, even stocks. All right, let's take a look at the euro. How's that doing against gold? So in the euro, gold has made all-time highs. It's broken and made all-time highs. Let's take a look at Japanese yen. Wow. It's really made all-time highs in Japan. Hardcore. And that's because Japan's been printing money like there's no tomorrow. They're the worst at it in the world. That's why they've been in this stagflationary depression. Although a lot of people think the US and Europe will end up like Japan. I beg to differ, and that's because Japan has a huge manufacturing base and a large savings population, society. Europe has larger savings than the U.S., but it's not that great. Pound. Pound's been pounded. Look at this. Here's 2012 back here. And it's made all-time highs, gold versus the pound. And, a lot of people in my private group and people who've looked into my data, by the way, go to my website. Just search MMGinvest. This is what it looks like. I have security on there. You can see my videos down here. I'm definitely on the internet. If you search for me, you can find me easily. Anyways, let's get back to it. But if you go to my website, there's a video, right? You should watch that video to see and to know what to expect. And I even give you a free stock, right? And a free one. So if you click on this video and then you see all my research. Alright, let's get back. I'm done shilling. Okay. Alright, so the pound, that's where I left off. Let's take a look at the Chinese yuan. Look at that. Chinese yuan, all-time highs. Way past the all-time highs. I mean, metals are exploding in China, value-wise, versus their currencies. Let's take a look at the Russian ruble. Even the Russian ruble, which is surprising, because Russia has less debt than any other nation. Fiscally and financially, they look the best, their balance sheet. But still, their currency is weak, and the gold is it's making new all-time highs. Aussie, Australia, look at that. Gold and silver is all-time highs in Australia. And, it's everyone who watches me, they don't realize, especially foreigners, I always look at gold and silver in dollars. So in dollars, it doesn't look that great. But in other foreign currencies, you're losing value versus gold and silver. Because gold and silver has hit all-time highs in other countries. And that's probably why I have a lot of foreigners, I think, in my groups. Because for them, they see the value of their currencies dropping. And that's mainly because the dollar has been rising. And I'll show you guys that later. Alright. So, and then here's the dollar versus all fiat currencies. The dollar is strong. Very strong. Of course, it was very, very strong back in 2001. That's when the dollar peaked out. Here's 2009 down here. It fell in value the most. It bottomed out in 2009. And it's risen substantially since 2009. The dollar versus all other world fiat currencies. And that's why, and also gold, so gold has risen versus the dollar, but the dollar is still strong. We've seen gold and the dollar rise at the same time. Okay? So imagine what's going to happen when the dollar starts falling and other fiat currencies around the world. Gold and silver is going to explode. Alright? But for now, for the short term and intermediate, we're getting a pullback. We're getting a correction in metals, which is fine. It's great. I'm happy. My trade's making me buttloads of money right now. And I want more time and another pullback to accumulate precious metals mining stocks. Because I'm in it to win it. I'm not here just to swing trade and day trade and whatnot. Alright. So let's start talking about the news. What really triggered gold to sell off? Was it yesterday or the day before? I think it was yesterday. So, Trump, they're trying to impeach him again. But listen, it was a trap. Trump loves to set these traps and he trolls the media. And he uses the media, he uses their bias against him, against themselves, and to get what he wants. He's very smart, guys. He might have inherited a couple $1 million, but Making billions out of a couple million is like taking $1,000 and turning it into hundreds of millions. So you have to be smart to do that. And he knows media. He's had a TV show and everything. He knows how to manipulate everything. So what happened is yesterday morning, news came out about the papers and some documents, and what it showed is that Trump was wanting to look into Biden, right? And he was talking to the to Ukrainian prime minister, and what this is going to end up doing is it's a trap for the media. So the media, at first, they're like, yes, we finally got Trump on something. And then they start reporting on it because it's anti-Trump. And in the end, it turns out that he didn't do anything wrong. And it's going to expose Biden and the backroom dealings that were going on. And they talked about it. The press release came out yesterday morning, and then the stock market saw that that's what's really happening, and then it started rallying because Trump is bullish for the stock market. The stock market's going to keep going up as long as the stock market thinks Trump's going to get reelected. If the stock market thinks he gets impeached, he doesn't get reelected, the stock market crashes. When the stock market goes up and up, gold and silver could sell off unless the stock market is going up because the Fed is printing money like there's no tomorrow. Like there's QE4 and QE5. We're already pretty much with having QE4, and that takes me to the repo, right? So what's the repo market? It's not like repossession of like a car or something. The repo market is repurchasing of loans. Okay, so I posted in the newsroom, the free newsroom, links below the video, what the repo market is in detail. This guy explains it. I'm not going to do that. But so banks lend each other money, so there's liquidity overnight for small loans or mid-sized loans for corporations, this and that. And what ended up happening is the banks stopped lending to each other in the overnight markets. So what that causes is a liquidity crunch, meaning there's like no money for lending. If there's no lending going on, the economy comes to a halt. And that happened in 2008 with the mortgage-backed security crisis because of all of the mortgage-backed securities that went bust for everyone's home mortgages. So it's happening again right now, and they've injected $250 billion, the Fed. So they just printed $250 billion. Taxpayer pays for that one way or another through inflation, really, and or just goes on to national debt, right, with interest. And the Fed is literally doing QE4 behind the scenes. They're propping up the banking system because they're not lending to each other. So why aren't banks lending to each other? Well, we don't know. But they know something that we don't know. Deutsche Bank, I don't know. But it's scary. And this is like a crack that's turning into a fissure. This is like, Yellowstone Park, right, in the U.S., It's a giant volcano, essentially. And you have those geysers that shoot up water because of the heat. Well, imagine the economy as Yellowstone Park, and those geysers that shoot up steam and heat. Well, now they're starting to shoot up lava because you're starting to get tremors and earthquakes, like the volcano's about to explode before it explodes. So that's how I personally see this repo market and the Fed having to inject hundreds of billions of dollars to keep the banking system working. All right, and the news isn't reporting about this. That's how I know it's some serious shit. because they're not talking about it anymore. They first reported on it. Now they just don't talk about it, and everything seems calm. Today was a very boring day on the markets. That's why the stock market, well, it sold off a little bit, but it's trending up towards the new all-time highs. But the fact that no one's talking about this and no one's making a big deal about this means it's a big deal. And news is controlled, guys. Mainstream media. So this is something to watch out for. If you want to learn about it some more into detail, I posted in the newsroom, the free newsroom. Go in there. And, guys, I post a lot. If you're not in there, you miss out on like 90% of the stuff. I can't give you guys all the information in my videos because people's attention spans are freaking gone. Like, people drop off after 15 minutes of watching my video. That's why they learn nothing, and that's why they'll be poor the rest of their lives. All right, so yeah, you guys can watch that in my newsroom. JP Morgan. Now, this is interesting. They're talking about a RICO Act. What's a RICO Act? It's like this law that's used to stop mafia, organized crime. And good, because that's what they are. And this is weird because, there's been organizations asking the regulators to do something about this for over a decade now. And they haven't done anything. But why are they doing something about this now? Of course, only a few traders at the big trading desks at JP, are the ones that are, going to go to jail, get fined. But the organization itself, it might get a fine. The fine's nothing compared to the profits they make from manipulation. So it's kind of like it's like a wink and a nod from the regulators. Yeah, you guys could keep doing what you're doing. You're too big to jail, right? We can't really stop you because if we take down your organization, then the entire damn system comes down. So, too big to fail in jail, right? So we'll just keep fining you, and then you guys could throw your own employees under the bus and just keep doing what you're doing, right? But at the same time, though, everyone kind of knows that it's rigged. So when it's rigged, at first people will think, well, I'm going to stay away from precious metals because obviously it's rigged. But at the end of the day, people also know if they keep rigging it long enough, which it's been about over a decade now, when the rigging stops and the free market overrides the rigging eventually, you're going to get an opposite reaction to the manipulation. So if you have 10 years of market manipulation and rigging and suppressing of the precious metals prices, well, when the rigging ends and stops because of market forces, because the supply of physical metals has been depleted from decades of market rigging, the upside potential is enormous. It's huge. Because all of the market rigging for over a decade is going to eventually break, and then all at once the COMEX, the futures markets, will break. There won't be physical delivery, and the 10 years of suppressing the price will all of a sudden break out to the upside. So you'll get a move to the upside of 10 years of suppression. And that's why I'm so bullish, besides the economic data and everything else, right? All right, so talked about that. Grita. I don't want to say her name. All right, this is hilarious. I just want to mention this. So this is my Instagram, and I'm hilarious on there. So what is this about? Guys, I've talked about this. Plants, they consume carbon monoxide just like the sun. That's how they grow. What is all this about? The climate, of course it changes. It could change because of the rotation around the sun, solar plexuses, all kinds of things. And the poles are possibly shifting. North Pole has moved from Canada to Russia now. There's all kinds of things. Either way, the water hasn't risen in 200 years, and I could prove it. if anything, the planet's cooling. Listen, it's a scam. It's a carbon tax scam. And they probably want, and these people are nuts. These elitists, they want to depopulate. That's all it is, guys. I'm just gonna speak the truth. Oh, you're crazy, man. You're crazy. No, I'm not. If you actually if you do research and look into these people, see what they say, see what they do. It's all about that. They don't give a shit about you, sheep. All right? They want to thin the herd. And which is that even crazy? If they truly believe they want to save the planet, right? They could easily say, well, there's too damn many people on the planet, right? All right. That's my thoughts and opinions. WeWork. Look at their website. Just look at this crap. What is this? What is this? What are they working on? Look at these offices. It's like this trendy, so trendy, man. It's like hipster heaven. It's like they took it from Google. Look how trendy. Look at the bright colors. What are they working on? Like, there's no privacy, no offices. That's what I hate about these modern offices. There's no privacy. So everyone keeps talking to each other and nothing gets done, right? And then there's a bunch of women working there. So all they do is gossip and nothing gets done. Yeah, I mean, what are these? Like library lounges? Is that the WeWork model? Anyways, these unicorn Silicon Valley IPOs, the end is here. It's finally here. Thank God. So, will the WeWork IPO troubles make waves across Silicon Valley? Yes, liquidity is drying up. Companies that don't make a profit, like Uber and all that, why would you hold a stock of a company that can't make a profit now? It's IPOing because it needs money because it can't make a profit. And its future projections are, well, we're probably not going to make a profit for a few years, 5, 10 years. And they might never make a profit. And if a recession comes, you better damn believe they're not going to make a profit and they're probably going to go bankrupt, right? I mean, it's common sense, guys. It's common sense. And, it's towards the end of the bubble peak, right? So these IPOs, once you start seeing IPOs fail before even launching, and when they launch, a lot of these IPOs that launched, they're below IPO price. That signals to the market that the good times, it's over. The good times are done. Because, listen, speculators, they always buy into IPOs, hoping for a quick buck, that it's going to rise for the next few days, weeks, and months. And it's over. I mean, you're not seeing that anymore. And that's because risk off, it's sort of people are taking the risk off approach. Meaning they're starting to question, are we nearing a recession, nearing the end of the business cycle, and whatnot, all right? And I have some funny pictures. So, during the booming times, during the good times, you're going to see these Silicon Valley entrepreneurs. And, these aren't rough, hard, grit-like people who came from nothing, who know how to work hard, who work 80 hours a week. No, they're ruthless. They'll destroy their competitors. They take a no bullshit approach to life and everything. They fire shitty employees. They only hire the best. Those are the people that built America and built this strong industrial economy and brought prosperity. The strong people, right? Who came out of like wars, like World War II and World War One. Those people, they're strong. They knew how to build companies. Prior to that, you had Carnegie, you had Ford, you had those people. Those people they were nice people, but when it came to business in their board meetings, they slaughtered people. They'd fire people left and right. You can't let, you have to be a hardcore, grit, strong person. And these new CEOs and these new entrepreneurs these days, they have it easy. They get these millions of dollars of easy money from the banks and other Silicon Valley companies who've made it also give them loans and whatnot. And they have this culture, right? And the culture is, as you could see, and you know, the good times create weak men, and weak men make bad decisions. All right, they just do. Because when things come easy to you, you don't take things seriously, and you'll hire the wrong people. You'll make laissez-faire decisions that later down the road is going to cost you money. You have to listen. You get a lot of discipline from the hard times. That's why I would rather take an entrepreneur who came from nothing, who crawled his way to the top, than from some trust fund baby entrepreneur. Because there's a saying, it only takes 3 generations to lose a family's wealth, right? So, and sometimes it only takes just 1 generation. That's why, millionaires' kids are always drug addicts. Because they had, easy growing up as kids. Alright, guys. And this meme, you're going to see it a lot. Because this is cyclical. It's a fractal. All empires are fractal, just like markets. And I'm going to make a little mini documentary talking about this. It's going to be great. And I plan on making it in the next few weeks, months. Alright, I just need to find time. Alright, so let's get into some TA. Before I get into the TA, I cut this video in half, and I look back and I see Kramer literally talking about everything I just talked about in this first half of the video. Recession worries, prospect of Warren presidency, impeachment talks, IPO market. Hilarious. And guess what he said? Get used to it. Don't panic. Just get used to it. It's going to be fine. And at least they point out what the market really is worried about. So it's, it's funny. So let's get into the TA. Is everything going to be all right? Is this record expansion of the stock market in U.S. history and global history just going to keep going? Like, everything's going to be all right, right? Forever. All right. So, funny. All right. So, gold dump. Before we get into stock market, check this out. Look at this. I told you guys the dollar is going to keep going higher because of this giant cup and handle. Now, is it the milkshake theory thing? The milkshake theory thing is sort of happening, but I don't think it's going to play out exactly how that theory is. I could talk about that some more in another video. But, of course, the U.S. does want that to happen. The problem, if that does happen, if the dollar just keeps rallying, and sucks all the capital out of the rest of the world, when the U.S. dumps, it's going to be so painful that we're going to be living in caves starting fires with stones. All right? But the dollar, very strong, the strongest in the world right now, currency-wise. And like I said, I expected it to possibly get to the 100 handle or close to it. And we'll see if it breaks through. If it does, it might be because the stock market's dumping and the world's in a whole lot of mess and turmoil. The thing is, when the dollar does rally like that because of global turmoil and whatnot, which I'm not saying it's going to happen soon, I don't know when it's going to happen. I think there's a high probability it's going to happen in 2020. Am I certain of that? No, I don't know. But I do know that eventually the dollar will fall because the Fed will be printing so much money. But before that happens, you might get a little blow off top on the dollar. Now, the reason you get a blow off top on the dollar is because, let's say, China's really falling apart, and so is Europe. And maybe if the stock market really sells off in a big way, then you'll get a huge rally in the dollar, because that'll be the knee-jerk reaction to safe haven. And then the dollar will tank after that, because the Fed, the U.S. central bank, will have to announce QE to infinity. All right, so you have to be wary about that. Now, if the dollar breaks out, melts up, the gold and silver will probably do the same thing, because uncertainty will also trigger that. Although at first there might be a knee-jerk reaction where mining stocks and gold sells off like it did in 2008 and 9. And let me show you guys. All right, so this is a monthly chart of gold, right? Here's March of 2008. It massively started rallying as Lehman Brothers and all of them. You started seeing massive uncertainty in the market and recession fears, which echoes today, where we are at right now. And metals rallied, right, for a while, for 6 months, 7 months. And then the stock market crashed, and so did gold and silver and the mining stocks. Why is that? That's because everyone just got the hell out of the markets, and they press one button and it sells everything, including their mining shares. And even any positions, even in gold, the futures sell off for the gold and silver market. And it's a margin call, like a broad margin call for every hedge fund, every one. So that dumped metals. And metals fell with the stock market. Will that happen? I think it will. I don't know how bad it will be. It might not be that bad. It might be just like a flash crash for like a few days or something. It might just be a crash for like 2 weeks, like a 30% drop or something. Maybe a 50% drop. I don't know. When we get there, we'll get there. Whatever happens, I will hold my long-term core positions through the storm, because you never know. It might just only happen for a day or 2-3 days, and then everyone just starts buying metals and then just shoots straight up. And I don't want to risk, selling everything and then missing the rally soon after, if that makes sense. Either way, you have to be very aware of that. And you're going to see a huge drawdown if you're holding silver and gold mining stocks, if and when the stock market crashes, because there's going to be margin calls and everyone sells everything. And you definitely do not want to be holding anything that's leveraged, any 3x ETF or anything like that. When that happens, you will also want to have, personally, when that happens, I will probably be sitting 30 to 40% in cash and everything else in long-term core, long positions in gold and silver mining stocks. Okay, very important. Pay attention. I'll make another video on this someday in the near future. All right. All right, so I'll do gold and silver TA in a little bit. Let's take a look at the stock market. Is this thing gonna make new all-time highs or what? Here's the S&P 500. It's a 4-hour chart. The 4-hour looks very bullish for the S&P 500. And, today was boring. I bet tomorrow's going to be another boring day. And if next week's boring, the market's probably just going to keep going higher. It'll crawl. It'll creep higher and higher. And once it gets close enough to the all-time highs, everyone's going to get back in, risk on, and we'll start making new all-time highs in the S&P 500. Let's take a look at the daily chart. The MACD is telling me this is a dip buying opportunity on the daily for the S&P 500, which I think it possibly is for a swing trade, nothing long term. Yeah, I mean, look at this. This MACD indicator is not bad for longer swing trades. I get these greens down here, which are telling me it's a buying opportunity. And this is the weekly chart. The weekly chart is on a 4 count, although the 3 count did go higher than the 2 count. And this is a 1, 2, 3 on the weekly. And with these 9 counts to the upside, the 4 count and the 5 count tend to be dips. And then you get a higher 6 count, 7, 8, 9 to the upside, breaking to new all-time highs. I do think we're going to hit all-time highs on the S&P here for the short term. They need that to happen for the upcoming holiday season in the fourth quarter of 2019, so people feel comfortable and they go out shopping, right, and buy gifts. And they need a strong fourth quarter to start off 2020 for Trump to get reelected and to keep this bull market possibly afloat through 2020. So that's the game that Wall Street, the administration, everyone wants. That's what they want. They want new all-time highs and a strong fourth quarter. So that's how they're going to try to do it. Unless there's a black swan event. And the repo market thing is a black swan event. I think it's definitely flashing hardcore red, but can the market ignore it for a few more months going into second quarter of 2020? Possibly. Fourth quarter of 2019, it will be very important. And that is another reason why I think we might get a decent correction in gold and silver right now. Although, the next FOMC meeting is coming up on October 29th and the 30th. And I think by then they're going to cut rates again. And I do think metals will recover by the end of the year. And that's because to keep the stock market going higher and higher, they're going to have to print more money. And they're going to have to lower interest rates back down to pretty damn near zero or at zero. Here's the NASDAQ E-mini 100. NASDAQ looks strong. If the NASDAQ rallies and breaks above resistance at 7,800, I mean, the markets are going to make an all-time high. All right. Let's take a look at the Russell, the outlier of the other indices. So the Russell does have a hammer right here. And I believe once the Russell 2000 gets above 1,570, that also signals, yes, we're going to make a new all-time high in all indices and equities, especially if it could get above this, what is that, the 100-day moving average, which is pretty much 1570. And this is a weekly chart, so we have a hammer on the weekly. So if this week ends, tomorrow ends like this or higher, that's fairly positive for the Russell 2000. Let's take a look at the daily real quick. And Russell 2000, mid-cap 2,000 smaller companies for the U.S. It's a domestic indice to track the U.S. economy itself. It is on a 6 count, so possibly 7, 8, 3 more days of sideways to downside action, and then we'll get a 9 buy on the Russell 2000, and then higher she goes. This pattern right here, I don't know. It's not really any sort of pattern to me. You could say it's in a range, a channel, a descending channel. Yeah, guys, 1570. My blue equilibrium line's on 1570. If the price gets above that, everything's going to rally and we're going to hit all-time highs on the stock market. Although for the daily, the MACD just crossed to the downside. So, I don't know. The Russell's probably going to trade down and slightly sideways. Might retest 1530. FANG stocks. Facebook, Netflix, Google, Tesla. I include Tesla. All these new big companies out on the West Coast. Fang stock, huge buying wick right here. Look at this hammer. This is beautiful on the weekly, on the fangs. So this looks very positive. This is bullish. And the oscillators, neutral, bullish. Either way, that looks very bullish. It's on a 7 count, just like the Russell. And the MACD can cross to the upside. So I'm looking for new all-time highs in the next week or so, by the end of October. And that is probably going to put a lot of pressure on precious metals, especially if the dollar keeps going higher and the stock market makes new all-time highs. Now, when the stock market makes new all-time highs, is this going to be the big blow-off, melt-up, the melt-up blow-off top? Yeah, probably. And it could go into the end of this year or just for the next few weeks and months. I don't know. We'll see. Or it could go into 2020 if the Fed just goes, all right, we're going to cut rates to 0 and then just start up QE. So, interesting, right? Here's oil. Oil had that huge spike up for, when the Saudis got attacked. And it dropped since because, it was all bullshit. That's why. I posted some stuff in the newsroom. Let's get into gold and silver TA. Here's the weekly chart for gold. Now here's what's concerning. The MACD is about to cross to the downside, and that is going to possibly give us some more downside for a while, for possibly a few weeks or more. All right. MACD, it's got a long way to fall. And this is the weekly time frame. Momentum indicator, it's still overextended, the momentum indicator. RSI, it's already fallen a lot. So, how low can this go? Well, here's the thing. Silver and gold is a global commodity and money, right? It's the true world reserve currency. And I don't think it's going to fall all that much. But if 1500 breaks, which I think there's a 50-50 chance of 1500 breaking. But if it does, then we're going to see a decent drop. And that'll more than likely take us into the 1440 area. Okay, because there's some buying around that area. There's a decent amount of buyers and some support. And that would take us down to the 50% retrace. So 1500 breaks. Although this count right here, this 1, 2, 3 count, it didn't look too bad. It looked very positive. Of course, the bankers smashed it. But this is what we need to look out for tomorrow, Friday, and next week, if the price could break below 1500. And I don't know. I give it like a 50-50 chance. We'll look at the daily and the 4-hour time frames. But if it does, I mean, you're looking at support around 1460 and I would say 1440, 1430 on gold. All right. Let's take a look at the 3-day for the hell of it. The 3-day is telling me that my one indicator, which, guys, in the private room, remind me to give it to you guys because I forgot. The 3-day is giving me some blue candles. These blue candles they tell you it's oversold. But let's take a look at some other indicators. Obviously, the moving averages are spread out. There's a huge gap between them. And they tend to come back together at least and reset and consolidate. RSI is overextended to the downside. OBV has already crossed to the downside. MACD, I mean, it has some more time to go to get oversold. So the MACD is telling me we still have some more downside to come, despite that other indicator. The TD's not really telling me anything on the 3-day. So right now you're just gonna wait to see if support breaks. Like I said, 1500 breaks, that's a big deal. So let's take a look at the daily, see if we can figure out if this 1500 support's gonna hold. Now on the daily, I have a 9 sell, another one, according to the TDI indicator, and that could give you another 1 to 4 candle pullback on the daily. And if that happens, obviously we're breaking below 1500. If we break below 1500, I think we could get a decent drop to 1480, 1460, or 1430. All right, guys, it's pretty much all I'm thinking right now, for now. And then it's going to be up to the news. You know, if this repo thing turns out to be worse than anyone expects, if the Fed needs to cut a 50-point cut in October, if something happens between now and the next FOMC, that's when you're going to get the rebound back up to the upside on gold and silver. So again, that's October 29th and the 30th. So right now I'm still holding. I'm still shorting this. I'm still shorting gold and silver. I think the price is at least gonna revisit. Well, that's 1500. So there will be support on the 4-hourly at 1500 for gold, which I think tomorrow we could fall to 1500 or overnight. So like I said, 1500 is a really big deal. I think they're going to smash it below 1500, and I hope they do, because I want more time for more research and to accumulate more mining stocks, right? Because it's the largest wealth transfer in human history, and I want to make the best of it, right? I want to be retired in my early 30s. That'd be sweet. Like, I want to buy a farm and a Lambo. Okay. Also, there's huge head and shoulders on gold, as you can see right here. That's close enough to a head and shoulders. So I'm expecting a drop to 1500 to test 1500 again. Silver actually looks weak as well, but I do not see as much downside to silver price as I do gold, because of that gold and silver ratio. I think silver will drop, but 1700 may be the bottom on a correction or pullback, or 1750 again, retest the 50 fib retracement, which would actually be 1730. I'm sorry, 1730 area. But I don't think silver is going to go lower than that. Gold might, retrace, like I said, to 1430, 1440, 1460 area, somewhere around there, the 38.2 fib, right? But that's about it. So a larger pullback on gold. Mining stocks will probably take a decent hit. They already have. And that's fine, because I want to accumulate more. And I have like 15 more smaller junior micro caps that I'm looking at right now that look very promising. And I'm going to add them to the private group where we do updates. It's $10 a month. The only way you could get in, obviously, if you buy the report, though. Should I lower the price again? Give you guys a 10% discount again? I'll do it again, because people who've missed out on this giant rally in gold and silver, you missed out on some serious gains. So I'll give you guys another 10% discount. I'll put it in the comment section of this video below, the link, so you get a 10%. Or you could probably still go to the website and still get it automatically. All right. So that's all I have for now. I think we're gonna see some more downside to precious metals, and how long will it last? I'm hoping it'll last at least till the end of October. Again, let's go to the weekly chart on gold here. Let me show you why. If we go to the weekly, this is why we might see some downside for quite some time. It's because this MACD and momentum is gonna stall for a bit on the weekly time frame, because metals have outperformed everything on the stock market, everything. And this huge rise, let's see how much gold has risen in the past. Let's go to a monthly. Here's a monthly. Oh, by the way, with the TD9, right, you get a 9 count to the upside. Well, we did get a 1, 2, 3 count, and the 2 is trading above the 1, 3 is trading above the 2. What does that mean? That means we're going to get a 9 count to the upside. But guess what? Like I said, the 4 count and the 5 count tend to be pullbacks, and then you get a higher 6 count, 7 count, 8, and then finally a 9 count to the upside. And this, what you're looking at right now, is a monthly chart of gold. Every ticker represents a month. So it makes sense that the 4 and the 5 are trading lower than the 2 right now. That doesn't concern me. The only thing that I'm looking at is the weekly that's going to give us at least a few weeks of downside. Now, can the price just fall a little bit and just stay stagnant for like a month or two? Yes, that's very possible. Like gold could, let's say gold breaks below 1500, falls to like 1440, then, you get a little bit of a rebound back up to like 1480 or something, and then sort of trade sideways for some time. Like something, we get a retrace to 38.2 or 50, get a nice rebound. It might even retest 1500, I don't know. And then create a nice bull flag, technically, or descending triangle, something like that. And then it breaks higher into 2020. This is sort of what I'm expecting. And this makes sense. Why does this make sense? Well, what if we get a melt up going into the last quarter of 2019 and into the first quarter of 2020 on the stock market, and then finally everything blows up, stock market crashes, gold breaks out for the stock market, the beginning phase of the stock market crash, and then eventually all the margin calls hit, and then you might see, this is I'm theorizing right now, guys. But let me tell you what I'm trying. This is important, so pay attention. I know people's attention spans are gone. Like 80% of the viewers are gone. So seriously, you're above you're cream of the crop if you're still listening to me on this video. Seriously. The other mentally challenged are gone. So here we go. So later, maybe towards the end of the year or beginning of 2020, gold takes off again like a rocket because the stock market's crashing. They're doing QE, and then finally the stock market crashes itself, and then boom, metals crash, maybe revisit 1500 or something. I don't know. Here's the thing, guys. I don't know how high it'll go. So someone asked me a very important question. Like, you guys understand, I can't time the crash. I can't. Nobody can. Like, anything could happen. Metals, gold could rally like the end of 2019 going into 2020. It all depends on what the Fed's doing. It could rally, make new all-time highs in 2020.
hold on, I have to drag this around. It could literally shoot to the freaking moon. It could go to like 2,500, 2,700. And then it crashes with the stock market, maybe only back down to like 1,900, 1,800. And then it shoots back up, because then they're doing endless money printing. People ask me questions like that. So because they're trying to find the best buying opportunity. The best buying opportunity was in 2015. And the second best buying opportunity was the beginning of 2018, when I came live with my website and I started telling you guys to fucking buy. So right now people are like, so should I buy now? Should I wait? I don't fucking know. You need to dollar cost average in. Because we could seriously, like, we could see a dip right now, right? Like a little pullback dip to that right now for the next few weeks. Then it goes back, then it goes up, and it just literally goes to 3,000 gold. And then your mining stocks are like doing 1,000% gains. And then mining stocks and gold and precious metals crash with the stock market. And then they come out with like, Zimbabwe, Weimar, Germany, and Venezuela style money printing, and then gold goes to like 10,000. And then this crash, because people are like, should I wait for the precious metals to crash with the stock market? No, because it could rally so much in the next like 4-6 months that when it does crash, it'll crash to higher prices than today. Today we're at 1,500. So it could crash from 3,000 to 2,000. I don't know. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. I don't know. I'm not a prophet. Alright? Go to my website, like I said. 10% off. Watch this video. You get a free stock analysis, sort of. And then I'll show you guys data. 10% off. Smash some likes. Leave anything in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. Please share my videos. That's the only way my channels grow, and I'll continue to keep doing this. Eventually, I'm gonna like close the private membership, because I don't want tourists coming into my group and people who don't know what the hell they're doing, or people who are late to the party. Because people who are late to the party are gonna go through an emotional roller coaster like they've never experienced before, and I just don't want to deal with them. All right, guys. Until next time.